everybody, welcome to our Happy Healthy Guts. Today I'm going to show you how to make a probiotic sugar-free ketchup, which is not only delicious but incredibly nutritious, and it would make you and your gut feel really good. So what we are going to need for our probiotic ketchup is we're going to start with 1 cup of tomato paste or passata. Really important when you are buying your passata that it doesn't have any added ingredients. Sometimes if you get tinned passata or tomato sauce, it may have sugar added or any other ingredients. But for the recipe for this ketchup, we want to make sure that we are using plain passata or tomato sauce, which doesn't have anything except for tomatoes. So we're starting with 1 cup of tomato passata. Our next ingredient is going to be our probiotic kombucha. So I like to use kombucha, and as you can see, we have our kombucha here, which is just plain at the moment. It doesn't have any added flavor. So we need 1/4 of kombucha. This can be homemade or it can be bought, but also if you don't have kombucha on hand, something else which you can use is just apple cider vinegar. So whatever it is that you'd like to use, you can either use kombucha the way that I'm doing it, or you can use apple cider vinegar. If you buy the apple cider vinegar, it's preferable if it still has the mother inside the bottle. It just has more benefits. Our next ingredient that we're going to add to our ketchup is cinnamon. So depending on how much you like cinnamon, if you like cinnamon the way I do, I would recommend you use 1/2 of a teaspoon. If you're not a big fan of cinnamon, you can add just 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Then we're going to add 1 clove. Our next ingredient is going to be onion powder. So again, 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder. We don't want it to be too overpowering. Garlic powder. Again, 1/4 of a teaspoon. And I like to add white pepper. 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper. Our next ingredient is just going to be 1/2 a teaspoon of salt, and you can use Himalayan salt or sea salt. And lastly, something that people usually associate ketchup with is sweetness. So to add to our ketchup that sweet flavor, but at the same time to keep it, low carb and sugar free, I am using our favorite chicory syrup. Chicory syrup not only has fiber, but it's also very low in sugar. It's a natural ingredient, and it is going to give your ketchup that delicious molasses type of flavor that you would usually associate with ketchup. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of chicory syrup. And that is it. Those are all of the ingredients that we're going to need for our probiotic sugar-free ketchup. So what we're going to be doing now is we're just going to make sure that it's nicely mixed, and we're going to bring to the heat for a couple of minutes. So as we're heating our ketchup, just keep whisking to make sure that it's nicely combined. We're going to leave that for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to tell you a way in which you can turn that delicious probiotic ketchup into barbecue sauce as well. As a note on the sweetener, chicory syrup, also known as inulin, it's a great ingredient, as I mentioned, to use to sweeten your ketchup. However, if you can't have chicory syrup, what I would recommend that you use is either erythirol, which doesn't spike your sugar levels as well, and it is a keto sweetener. Another sweetener which you can use is monk fruit. Monk fruit is a great sweetener in case that you want to use it and you have it at home. If you have stevia, do not use stevia when you are making anything hot, because stevia does tend to taste quite bitter when you mix it, or when you bring it up to a certain temperature. So if the only sweetener that you have at home is stevia, then add all of the ingredients, heat your sauce, simmer for a couple of minutes, but let it cool down completely. And once it's cooled down and it's at room temperature, you can then add a couple of drops or your stevia powder if that's what you want to use, and then you can bottle it up and store it in the fridge. So I'm going to check how our ketchup's doing, and it's perfect. It's simmered. You will keep that at a low to medium heat. And already the smell that you would get coming out of your ketchup, it's that vinegar or the kombucha smell, which is quite acidic, but also, you know, it's the smell that we usually associate with the ketchup. Now, with this exact same recipe, one of the things that you can make is a delicious barbecue sauce. The only thing that you would need to add to all of the ingredients that I've mentioned is smoked paprika. We do not want to use any smoked flavoring because that typically is an artificial flavoring. So what I would do for our barbecue is I would actually add a quarter of a cup of smoked paprika. I know that maybe it sounds like a lot, but it's not going to make it spicy, but it is going to bring that depth and smoky flavor into your red sauce, turning it into the most delicious barbecue. So our ketchup's now ready. Just want to show you what it looks like at the moment. I can even smell the sweetness from the chicory syrup. But again, as I mentioned, if you don't have chicory syrup available to you, you can use monk fruit sweetener, you can use erythritol, or you can use stevia once your sauce has cooled down. So that is the ketchup made. The next thing that I will be now doing is I'm just going to pour the ketchup in a container. I'm going to put the lid on, but I'm not going to close the lid because it's still hot. So there we go. I'm just going to label ketchup with the date, wait for it to cool down, and then I can close it and seal it properly and store it in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. I hope that you and your family enjoy it and do try to make it home. Thank you.